And you can read more of Jamie's stories on her website, mediumjamieday.com. Good story, Jamie. Thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. You looked really good in your Instagram post earlier today, too.
Yeah, she had this whole, deep purple eyeshadow, purple hair, purple necklace. Looking hot. Hot to trot.
All right, so this one is from York, Maine. It's from the old jail. Heading towards some of the first few beaches along the coast of York, Maine, you may see some of the oldest buildings in Maine that are still standing today. Tucked up on top of the hill is the old jail. In 1656, John Parker became the first prison keeper and executioner at the first prison that was located on the jail hill. Prisoners had to work off their court-ordered debt by repairing shoes or processing flax. By 1719, between lack of security and the building needing repairs, the York County Court called for a new prison to be built. It is said that some of the wood from the old 1656 prison was used to help build the new prison. By 1720, the new two-cell stone-walled prison was complete, but by 1729 they added more living space to the prison for the prison keeper and family for them to be able to live on site. Could you imagine? There was little space and thin walls between the prisoners, the keeper, and his family. The concern of the prisoner's health and the well-being is what put a stop on using the two-room cells with only one fireplace and windows that were open year-round. The addition of 2 cells and more living space for the keeper was built in 1763 as the second floor. In 1799, America was in financial troubles from the Revolutionary War, and because of that, a lot of people were in debt. With overflow of prisoners, Old Jail was added onto once again. York County Court added a larger cell on the second floor and an addition on where the prisoners worked to pay off their debt. In 1806, the storage cellar was built, and the room above is believed to have been an administrative office with a dry attic above. Over time, the old jail closed, and the York County Prison was moved to Alfred, Maine. I'm really enjoying the history of the old jail in Maine. Fun fact, Maine was Massachusetts until March 15th, 1820. Did you know that?
I knew Maine was part of Massachusetts, but I didn't know the date.
I would agree with that. That's part of our Massachusetts history we all have to learn in 3rd grade. One of the most famous prisoners that was held at Old Jail was Patience Boston. She was a Native American servant with a colorful history. Patience murdered her master's 8-year-old grandson by throwing him into the well in July 1734.
Oops.
Patience actually gave birth to her 3rd child during her time at Old Jail before she was hung in July 1735. During my visit that I had in June 2019, I asked about where the executions were done. I was told that they would have the prisoners walk about a mile down the road to a place that's now called the Stage Neck Inn. The prisoners' last view would have been the Atlantic Ocean. I was also told there was a rumor that they did some executions right in front of the old jail as well. I guess it depends on who you talk to. I can't recommend enough to take a trip over to the Old York Museum Center. There are 9 locations that make up the museum center. The main 4 and cemetery are all well within a very short walking distance, and you can just pay to visit one building or all. I got mostly all of my information to write this from the amazing staff. I only toured the old jail and York Village Old Burying Ground on my visit, but found out that the Emerson Wilcox House has its own ghost stories as well. I'm hoping to make it back soon, and I will share what I found out. But back to the old jail, as I have said in my past 2 blogs that I am on a spiritual journey, I am sensitive and I pick up on things. I want to say that I was drawn to the old jail from one of my favorite podcast hosts from Meet My Ghost.
This she wrote prior to our podcast, so we'll go and assume that we are now her favorite.
Okay. I was going to say, why are we plugging someone else's ghost podcast?
No.
She posted some videos from her visit, and I just knew I needed to go. Walking up to the old jail, I got a pit in my stomach like I was about to give a speech in front of 1,000 people. I got in and still felt like it. Talking to the curator helped me get distracted, but I felt that I was being pulled to the House of Correction room, where the prisoners worked, and the room beyond it, which was possibly the administrative room. Once in the administrative room, I saw a hole in the ceiling which led to the attic, and I could feel the eye looking down on me. I walked through to the kitchen in the stone cells, 1720, and I have to say I honestly didn't feel anything, until I felt my butt get touched while I was taking a picture in the first cell. I was trying to debunk what had happened, but I can't explain it. I asked whoever did it to please not touch my butt again and to respect me. I moved on to the living quarters for the prison keeper and his family, and once again I didn't feel much of anything. My mind kept going back to how could someone raise their children in a situation like this. I headed up the narrow stairs and went left into an open room where the prison keeper and family slept next to the prisoners' cells. My breath was taken away, and it was just so heavy up there. It was a complete energy shift. Beyond that room was the debtor's cell, and it felt the same. The whole upstairs just gave me this uneasy feeling. The iron bed in the debtor's cell gave me the creeps, but I kept going back into that room. I finally headed back down the stairs and had to ask about the activity in the building. The curator told me that many people have felt things, but she had never experienced anything herself. She claims that she wasn't open to it, but she recommended that I go talk to another curator. I had to work up the courage to do that because it was outside my comfort level, but I did it for all the wonderful people that are reading this. The curator asked me what I felt, and I told her everything. She looked right at me and said, "You're right." She thought the butt touching was funny and said that she has never been touched but feels like people have been right up behind her many times. She told me how upstairs is very heavy and that there have been times when she was the only person in the building and she could hear walking back and forth in the debtor room. Then came the shocker for me that she thought that the iron bed that came from the Civil War brought out more of the activity. The old jail in York, Maine and the surrounding buildings are so rich in early New England history, and I'm pretty sure there is a good amount of mysteries too that we will never know, if only the walls could talk. From Missy Lathrop, and you can read more of her stories on hauntedemporium.com.
Thank you so much, Missy. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was really good. It's a good story. And I would also like to plug hauntedemporium.com again for Missy, because I've actually used that for some of my stories before to get like history and background of places. She does a really phenomenal job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, she really does. Oh, it's so funny. We're reading this right now, and Mike from Arizona literally 1 minute ago sent me a message. I tried to make time to write and I failed. So thanks, Mike from Arizona. We appreciate the effort. So we also had our friends from the Badnagar Paranormal Society send us a video. Unfortunately, the accents are really thick, and a lot of it is in, I'm assuming the language is Hindi. I'm not totally sure. So unfortunately, we won't be able to play it. It's a very, very interesting video, though, of a ghost hunt they did. And there's a lot of interesting stuff inside of it. We have watched it. So you can actually go and like and subscribe to their YouTube channel. And that is the Badnagar, Batanagar Paranormal Society on YouTube. And this video is a haunted apartment, Ragahart, Newtown. And it's interesting. It's really cool. But again, unfortunately, because we can't play the video, we can only do the audio. It wouldn't be to the benefit of you folks. So thank you to our friends in India. We so appreciate it. Everyone, please go like and subscribe to their YouTube channel.
Have a look at this.
Okay, and we know what that sound clip means. Time for an awesome, special, spooky Halloween version story from our friend Daniel down in Australia, mate.
G'day, it's Dan from Australia. Speaking of me favourite Sheilas from New England. Sitting there on me esky, put me a Cooper on, throwing a couple of more shrimps on the barbie. Okay, I'll stop talking like that. Contrary to popular belief, we don't all talk like that in Australia, at least not here in the cities. So, you'll just have to put up with my good for mime, typical everyday voice. I'm just going to tell you about a short personal story from my late teen years. A good friend and I decided we had to take a shortcut through Hobart's biggest and oldest cemetery called Carnelian Bay. It's got graves all the way back from the early 1800s right up to modern ones. Everything from modern, new marble monstrosities to sunken old sandstone headstone graves that look like they haven't been attended for 100 years. Now, my friend and I, typical teenage boys, always thought it's great fun to take a shortcut through this cemetery. We could take a shorter route by actually going around it on the nicely sealed road, but no, we felt we always needed to go along the gravel path through the cemetery. This one time we decided to do it at night time. On an overcast night, it was quite dark in the cemetery, even though it's not far from the city. And we're just walking up the rise through the fence, up between the headstones, very slowly, watching out for the security guys because it's illegal to actually be in there at night time. Shh! Don't tell anyone. We're walking up between the old headstones in an older section, along the gravel path, and it's just silent. We're just walking along, and all of a sudden ahead of us, probably 100 feet in front, there's a sudden white flash from the left to the right on the path ahead of us. We paused. We're watching. Nothing happens. It's just hidden behind a headstone. We're going, come on, we don't believe in ghosts. Surely they can't be a ghost. There's got to be a logical explanation. But it looks so much like a ghost. It was glowing, it was white, and it was see-through to a certain degree. So after our hearts settled down for a moment, we walked a bit further up. We're getting closer and closer and walking to the headstone that it seemed to disappear behind. We're heading up much, much closer, very slowly. Nothing happens. We get right up to where it disappeared behind the headstone, started to look around the headstone, and all of a sudden, this big white feral cat flies out from behind the headstone, runs back off across the path the other way. After we landed back down on our feet, we checked our hearts to make sure we still had a pulse. We checked the back of our pants to make sure we hadn't soiled ourselves in fear. It turns out this gigantic feral white cat, long fur, would hang around this cemetery at night time. Apparently there's a few stories of people being scared by it. When there's a bit of light behind it, it actually looks like a translucent ghost. It certainly scares you. So there's my very quick, very short story of a ghost that wasn't, but it had the same effect as a real one. So there you have it, ladies. My first attempt at recording my own story. Apparently it's a little harder than I expected to just talk to yourself in a microphone. I don't know how you two do it for an hour at a time on your podcast. But anyway, that's my first attempt. I'll leave it there, and I'll put a bit more effort into a longer one, hopefully before next week's podcast.
Good story, Daniel.
The ghost story that wasn't.
I like that a lot. That was a good one. Twists and turns. And you did a great job talking to yourself alone. It is very hard.
Yes. It's even hard a lot of times when there's another person directly across from you.
It's very, very true. It can be tricky. And that is why we actually usually record for 2 hours, but you only hear an hour of it.
Yes. Sometimes you just have to lean back and stretch a little bit. And I have a really squeaky chair.
But thank you so much for sending that. That was awesome and great. And I'm so happy. He sent that to us in just the nick of time.
Yes.
Nick of time.
And so it's funny that, Daniel, you had started off when we started this whole conversation back over the summer in saying that nobody would be able to understand you.
I thought he was quite coherent.
I understood everything that he said.
I feel I'm at a little bit of advantage because I have set my iPhone up. Like, it talks to me with an Australian accent.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I get all of my directions and everything as an Australian woman.
Fran has like a British guy that talks to her.
Yeah.
I just have the regular Siri lady.
Nah. I like to spice it up.
Well, that's why they give Siri lots of voices.
There we go.
For people who like different voices. So anyway, Daniel, thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for all your stories. Those are awesome. We really appreciate it.
And just in time for Halloween.
And we learned a lot. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks.
I really like the blog posts that Missy and Jamie sent.
Yeah.
And if you guys like them as much as we did, by all means, go over and check out their blogs, their websites. I think that Jamie has a YouTube channel.
I'm not sure. I just watch her all the time on Instagram.
Okay.
She did a thing the other day where you could like send her someone's initials and she'd do like a 1-card pull.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I sent her some initials.
Okay. And what was the outcome?
I got some good advice from Spirit that I already knew.
Okay. Isn't it nice when you're getting
relevant.
The same information over and over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In addition to lots of stories, we also got a ton of fan mail this week. So thank you so much.
I know. Usually on a good week, we might get like 2 messages, like one through Instagram and 1 email.
Like a good week is 2.
Yeah.
And this week we got
a couple of pages worth.
Yeah, we're up to 8. So thank you guys so much. It's really humbling. And